Onto Newcastle, Paul. They continue to be linked with strikers, whether it be in January or come the summer. Darwin Nunez is now on the radar for them. Could you see him making that move from Liverpool to Newcastle?
Not in the winter, no. Not in the January window. Absolutely not. I mean, that really is kite flying journalism at its best. If you're not going to swap Isak for Darwin Nunez. I mean, Isak's one of the most informed strikers in Europe at the moment, and he's a quality player. And you look at the age of him, and you look at the way that Newcastle play, and they're playing Tottenham this weekend, so he could well get a bagful this weekend. The way that Tottenham play with a high line. Newcastle, they're going to be linked with players, but it's a fine line at Newcastle with the FFP and the PSR. Said it before, my frustration. I can feel the Geordie fans' frustration. You're the richest club in the world, but you're talking about selling your best players and replacing them with lesser players. There's no way that they're going to go and try and get Nunez from Liverpool and replace Isak with Nunez. Callum Wilson's a problem. His fitness, his age, his contract situation. I think they were like last year when they went into the Champions League with only Callum Wilson and Isak, because we know Isak is potentially hamstring injury prone because of how quick he is. Callum Wilson, you can't rely on him being fit for the whole season, and I think that did cost him a little bit last year. I think this year, the form that Isak's in, he's one of the best in Europe at the moment, and they're only going to want somebody alongside him, not to replace him, and I just don't see Nunez being that one. And in all honesty, I don't see anybody leaving Liverpool this January.
And Paul, we've mentioned already about Newcastle's PSR issues. Eddie Howe has spoken how they may have to sell in January. Could you see Sandro Tonali being a shock sell, which would potentially generate a pretty massive fee? He was, I think, the record-breaking transfer fee into Newcastle, but someone who hasn't always found their footing, obviously, between the suspension and just formation issues at Newcastle.
I think they're just starting to see the best of him. I really can't understand why Newcastle would sell anyone in that starting 11. The way that they're playing, the run that they're on at the moment, there was a time where Guimaraes and Tonali, Eddie Howe struggled to get them into the same midfield together because he plays that 4-3-3 system, and he's struggled to play them both. But in recent weeks, it's clicked, and you're starting to see the best of him now after his ban, playing regularly. I think Newcastle will find a way around, the FFP and PSR by utilising sales of other squad members. They're not going to want to sell the likes of Isak, Guimaraes, Tonali. I think the biggest one will be if Manchester City come in and test their restraint for Bruno Guimaraes, because we know that he's got a buyout in his contract. We know that Manchester City are on the lookout, and we also know that Manchester City are financially in a really good place because of the sale of Alvarez, because of the sale of others. It's going to allow Pep to go into the market. Tonali, can't see that move happening, but I think Manchester City might just test their resources for Bruno.